The year is 1914. Out of the ashes of a failed soap and broom factory, together, two men begin a legacy that will continue to endure for decades. The town? Ingersoll, Ontario.
The history of the town dates back to about 1793, when Thomas Ingersoll was granted a total of 66,000 acres of land by Lieutenant Governor John Graves Simcoe. The proviso was that he had to come to the area with at least 40 different families that could help to open up this part of Upper Canada. Speed forward to 1913, 1914, you have E.A. Wilson, Ernie Wilson, buying a relatively new brick building on King Street West and establishing the Ingersoll Machine and Tool Company.
Ingersoll Machine and Tool became a prominent business within the small town's community. They specialized in building tools, dies, fixtures, and other machine parts. During the course of World War I, IMT sold war bonds and manufactured artillery munitions to support Canada's involvement in the war effort.
They were employing close to 300 people. 1916, the Government of Canada and British government were looking for supplies of artillery shells, and so EA jumped on that as an opportunity, and they started producing all kinds of artillery shells, different sizes, bullet shell casings, and shipping them out by the CPR tracks that ran right beside the factory. You can look at the old records that they submitted on a weekly basis to the Imperial Munitions Board to see how much the production was ramped up, sort of week after week. I've read someplace that that Ingersoll was one of the largest producers of artillery shells at the time.
At the end of the First World War, IMT submitted war claims for compensation for the machinery they acquired, and after that, they were left with the great question.
What do we do with all this machinery that's been, bought specifically for wartime production? Some of it we can't use again, but they saw that there were future opportunities.
By the 1930s, IMT was making the steering gear assemblies for every Canadian-built Ford, Mercury, Dodge, Chrysler, DeSoto, Plymouth, Hudson, and Nash car produced.
I came across a 1955 newspaper article that poses the question. You stop somebody on the street and you ask them, what's the similarity between a 1930 Chev and a 1950 Hudson? And you'd be hard-pressed to identify it unless you worked at IMT and you knew that all of the steering gear assemblies were produced locally.
After watching his teenage son win races for 2 years in boats not built for racing, E.A. Wilson commissioned Little Miss Canada 1 for Harold in 1931. Harold won every race he entered in 1931 and many the following year, but the appearance of flat-out racing hulls in 1932 prompted the fledgling Wilson racing team to up the ante for 1933. E.A. Wilson caught wind of the new 225 racing class in early 1934 and decided to see what Harold could do against international competition. Lorna had 2 jobs while Harry focused on the race. She served as racing mechanic and navigator, keeping her eyes on the gauges including water temperature, oil pressure, tachometer, all while also watching the competition. Little Miss Canada 3 won the World Championship races held on the Toronto waterfront that September, catapulting Harold, Lorna, and Canada onto the world's powerboat racing stage. Enter World War II, and once again IMT is called upon to support the Canadian war effort.
During the Second World War, the company again got back into artillery shell production. And at the same time, we're making I guess, steel steering gears and axle assemblies for the vehicles that were used by the Canadian Army. So once again, you could find examples of Ingersoll-made product around the world wherever there was Canadian troops stationed.
In their pursuit of manufacturing more household-based products, IMT begins producing the Ingersoll washing machine, but there is something unique about this brand of washing machine.
You know, in addition to the wartime production and the automotive production, that I think from sometime in the 1930s through to at least 1960, the company was also producing washing machines. We have an example of the Ingersoll brand Wringer washing machine, electric machine. Our model is white, and I think probably the majority of them were white, enameled white paint. But according to local citizens, they also made them in mauve and green and turquoise. A lot of people that come in and take a look at, and they pretty much all got a story to tell, and a lot of them are similar in getting their fingers caught in the wringer or up a child's arm or something like that.
Moving into the 1960s, IMT begins to manufacture axles for the heavy-duty trailer industry. Iveco Industries from Quebec purchases 58% of IMT and gains majority control in 1970, as well as sister companies Morrow Screw and Nut Company Limited and Flylow Corporation. Showing their affinity for diversifying and building new product lines, IMT begins manufacturing hovercrafts in 1971 under a separate brand and business unit aptly named Flylow. The 240 model of hovercraft manufactured by Flylow featured a 42 horsepower 1600cc Volkswagen engine and was capable of speeds in excess of 35 miles per hour over land or water. The next craft in this line was named the Caliban.
Just this week I came across another article from probably around July of 1970 where they were talking about introducing a secondary model to the original Flylow that was a scaled down version that you could actually make yourself in your home garage.
This model had a 12.5 horsepower CCW two-stroke lift engine along with a 23 horsepower CCW two-stroke thrust engine.
I don't know whether that ever got off the ground, if you pardon the pun, but anyway, it was known as the Caliban 3. So I wanted to try and find out more information as like why it was called Caliban, because he was one of the monsters in Shakespeare's play The Tempest. So it's just an interesting little twist on things.
1972, IMT was awarded a $4 million contract for 105 millimeter shell casings. This is the first time that this shell is produced in Canada. In 1981, IMT acquired a 10-year, $150 million contract from the Canadian government for the production of large caliber munitions. Needing more manufacturing space, IMT acquires a $125,000 government grant and, with the help of the city of Ingersoll, moved production from their original 8,000 square foot building and built a brand new manufacturing complex that covered more than 88,000 square feet.
I think it was 1981 or 82, the old building was torn down. We do have photographs that were taken by the Ingersoll Times newspaper showing the demolition. I remember reading that Ernie Wilson, who was general manager at the time, was saying this was going to be a much better improved workspace, better lighting, and airier, open space, I guess, than what the old factory was.
Fast forward to today, and we see a company that has grown and expanded its capabilities significantly to offer their customers a variety of different products and services. Ingersoll Axles designs and manufactures steerable axles and other related parts for the heavy-duty trucking industry. IMT recently acquired stand-ins in Calgary, Alberta, in an effort to diversify and increase their footprint in Western Canada. IMT Defense continues the legacy Ingersoll machine and tool established during World War I through to today by supplying the Canadian Department of National Defense and the U.S. Department of Defense with precision munitions as well as vehicle drive systems. The IMT Forge Group, which includes PC Forge, Welland Forge, and Clifford Jacobs in Champaign, Illinois, all provide their own specialty forging capabilities to the oil and gas, aerospace, and transportation sectors. H&S Heat Treating out of Port Robinson, Ontario, heat treats specific forgings and machine parts for use in the same sectors, including automotive. Nitrex Metal Technologies specializes in the metal nitriding process. Their state-of-the-art facility is located in Burlington, Ontario. IDT Logistics was created to assist IMT with their transportation and supply chain needs. Encompassing over 25 years of experience, IDT showcases IMT's strong entrepreneurial spirit. At the core of IMT is our DNA. It's been a staple of our culture and is representative of our values. These 4 pillars are what differentiates us from everyone else and provides us with a higher sense of purpose for everything we do, collectively and as individuals. The 4 pillars are enterprising. We strive to attract those who live comfortably outside of the box, while continuing to provide the tools and resources to those that propel the company forward. Passion. This gives us the advantage. Under our employ resides a team of passionate individuals who work together and serve as a catalyst for positive change and progress. Integrity. We strive to deliver ideas with honesty and predictability because all of us understand that integrity is the most solid foundation for growth and prosperity. Innovation. Through our past, we have envisioned the future. IMT was born from a rich history with discovery and novel thinking, adept at creation and constant innovation. We seek to nurture this spirit at every level and showcase this through our products and services. This year, IMT celebrates their 100th year anniversary. We'd like to thank everyone who has helped make this possible. From past to present and on into the future, we look forward to growing with each and every one of you. Thank you for taking part in this journey with us. We could not have done it without you.